start on that note. You can't say that president is deaf and dumb. And we all know that our president is not deaf and dumb.
No. If he's not deaf and dumb, then he should have been listening to the cry of the Nigerian people. He should have been listening to the cries of the international community. He should have been listening to the worries and disturbance of what his government is doing to the Nigerian people. It is very clear that this government does not listen, and they don't want to listen, and they are not ready to listen. Because what they are doing today, this same government is just trying to do things that would genuinely break up the country. Because the kind of actions we are seeing under the APC government and General Buhari, in the history of Nigeria, we've never witnessed what is happening. Today, every one person lives in fear in the country. And meanwhile, we have a government that cannot provide security for the people. So this same government that has failed in its campaign promises, this same government that has failed Nigerians, now the only thing they have, they've decided to come with a new strategy of oppressing the people that that voted for them. So far as I'm concerned, this government has demonstrated, the worst frustration that the Nigerian people has ever experienced. And we don't think they can take us to the worst. We're already facing the worst right now in Nigeria. Nigerian people are in pain. And in the case of Nnamdi Kanu, you can see the mafia style they use in getting him from Kenya. That is not an arrest, that is the kidnapping activities. And if a government that is kidnapping its own citizens from outside the country, is that kind of a government a responsible government? The answer is no. It shows that the APC is...
Well, is it really kidnapping? Because we don't see the Kenyan authorities kicking against it or having a problem with it. And we see that in Benin, of course, we're hearing, we're not sure that there might be an extradition.
No, listen, what they did in Kenya, Nairobi, in kidnapping Nnamdi Kanu, is the same method they were trying to use, the same treatment on Sunday Igboho. It was because the Benin Republic government has seen the outcry of how people has condemned what they did in Kenya. In the case of Kenya, it is because of corruption. The government of Kenya is corrupt. And if you have two corrupt governments that is doing transactions, they can trade off anybody.
What do you mean? What do you mean the government of Kenya is corrupt? According to the reports that we had, they worked with the Interpol to get Kanu back to Nigeria, according to the reports that the government gave us. So when you talk about corrupt governments, I do not know how President Uhuru Kenyatta's corruption what it has to do with the extradition of Nnamdi Kanu.
Let me tell you clearly. Did they follow due process in bringing Nnamdi Kanu back from Kenya to Nigeria? The answer is no. Did you see any court that granted the Kenyan government to hand over Nnamdi Kanu to Nigeria? The answer is no. So this is just a backyard transaction. Something has exchanged hands, whether you like it or not. I can tell you from all authority, some of us will get our intels, will get our information very clearly. And that is why you could see.
But this can also be beer parlor talk or some conversation you're having on your dining table, because you do not have facts, you do not have proof. You were not part of the negotiation. So really, why should we take your position as opposed to the position that the government is giving to us?
You should listen, let me tell you. I can tell you the reason why you should take my position. It's not what the Nigerian government come out to address Nigerians or what the Attorney General come out to tell Nigerians. This is a government that I know very well. I was part of them. This is a government of, this is a government that every person in this government lies. They don't speak the truth. This is how this government came to power in 2015. So I know them, I know the intrigues of this party called APC. I know all the leaders in this party, word to word. So I can tell you without fear or favor. Let anybody come and sue me. If they says whatever I'm saying is there's no facts to it, they should come and sue me. I'm there. I'm not running away. The same way they got in Nnamdi Kanu and the rest, some of us were prepared someday. If that is the wish and that is the road they want to go, oh, we are ready. But I will tell you clearly, they will not go scot-free with this strategy. They cannot keep oppressing the Nigerian people. The Nigerian people have right to agitate for whatever thing that they want. Okay. If this government was giving the people the dividends of democracy, nobody will be talking about breakup of the country. Yeah. It is because this government has gone out of hand.
Let's talk about the agitations of these men. Let's start with Nnamdi Kanu. Now, we know that Nnamdi Kanu's agitations didn't start today. Neither did it start under the Buhari administration. It did start earlier on. And we remember that, of course, he was granted bail by the court, but then he was not allowed to travel out of the country. But he did jump bail. And looking at the fact that he was brought back to face his sentence, I mean, he obviously committed a crime. He had two shorties that were supposed to guarantee that he would return to court, but he did not. And also making those shorties, getting them in trouble with the court. So Nnamdi Kanu does have a case to answer, you know, here in the courts in Nigeria. I mean, other allegations that have been heaped, we do not know, you know, how serious those allegations are, but we know that he did commit a crime against the court by jumping bail. But looking at Igboho, who has been having rallies across the, you know, the southwest, and just before he was supposed to have one in Lagos, his house was raided. We have videos of his cars being, you know, shattered. We saw blood in his. I mean, the whole country saw videos coming from, you know, the scene at his house, even though he was not there. But then, of course, now he's in Benin Republic. He is facing, you know, the courts, and of course, there are conversations as to if he would be extradited back to Nigeria. But looking at the struggles and the agitations of these people, many have asked, if we as a country had our acts together, would we be having these non-state actors? Whether we like it or not, these guys are non-state actors. But their agitations, are they legitimate? Should they be going about it this way? Have they even given government a reason to go after them in the style that they're going after them because of what they have said and done? Sincerely, let's take a look at this. What are your thoughts?
What reason do you want them to give to Nigerian people or Nigerians in diaspora or the entire world? The reasons is very clear. Every Nigerian is already feeling the pains. What reason is more than what today? You wake up one morning, you don't know if it is your mother that is going to be kidnapped, you don't know if it is your sister that is going to be killed, in a country where people can no longer feed, electricity is not there for the people to see, nepotism is order of the day, harassment and insult of those in power against the Nigerian people. Who can bear all of this kind of pains?
But many of us are bearing it. But I'm asking, is a secession or calling for an independent state the solution to our problems? Is that the solution to our immediate problems?
I have never been one of those who supported the breakup of Nigeria. I have never been.
But this is what Nnamdi Kanu and Igboho are soliciting for.
Oh, but it is a right. They have every right. It's not just in Nnamdi. It's not just Sunday Igboho. I can tell you today, if you make a referendum in Nigeria, out of 200 Nigerians, if you make a referendum today, I can tell you 70% will be prepared to go. So if the government thinks they are popular, the right thing to do, we saw it when Britain wanted to leave the EU. They came up to test the waters. And at the end of the day, what happened? If people voted in support of leaving the EU. So what you expect this government to do? If the agitation, every day you see protests in London, in America, in Europe, every part of the world, including in Nigeria, in different places, everybody say we want to go. So what a government that has sense should do is to call for a referendum. And if majority of the people said they are not ready to go, then which means these agitators, they failed in their agenda. Because in the first place, For them to say they want to go, not just them, but the majority of the people that are now crying that want to leave. Because when you wake up, you cannot feed. Fulani herdsmen is killing people every day. We've not seen any major arrest of any Fulani herdsmen. The same way they have time to go and arrest people outside Nigeria. If they put that same energy, we would have been seeing the leaders of Fulani herdsmen being arrested, being detained, being tried. But because you have a president that is the leader of the Fulani herdsmen,
I'm sorry.
they've been shielded from all of this.
Here you go again with these allegations about the president being... The president is the president. Hold on. I'd like to set you straight. The president is the president of Nigeria, not the leader of Fulani herdsmen. I'm sorry, you're misleading the people. I'm sorry, you're misleading the people. You cannot say that the president is the leader of Fulani herdsmen. He's the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Do not mislead the viewers.
Let me tell you clearly. He has not demonstrated as president of Nigeria. If he has demonstrated as president of Nigeria, where we are today, we will not be there. And that is why you can see even people like Tunde Bakare, who is meant to be best friend of General Buhari, who was his running mate in 2011. Today, I've seen that this same man that is supported has no capacity, has no experience, has no knowledge to lead Nigeria as a president. So the president himself has demonstrated to show that he's deaf and dumb. He has no capacity. What you expected, let me tell you, this same president you're talking about, when the leaders of the North, his own kingsmen, came out to tell the whole world, came out to tell Nigerians, tried to even shake up the National Assembly, made it very clear that, look, Nigeria is no longer safe under our own storm. And therefore, we want General Buhari to resign himself, or the National Assembly should commence impeachment immediately. These things did not come from Timmy Frank. These things did not come from the Nigerian masses. This directive came from the leaders, Northern Leaders Forum. And General Buhari is one of them in the North. So if his own people has come out clearly to say this man should resign, then what are we talking about?
I'm curious.
I'm no longer leading as president of Nigeria, but it's a one-sided president.
I'm curious to...
Have you seen... have you seen...
I'm sorry, Mr. Frank, I have a question. You had said at the beginning, and we all know this, that you were party to those who brought the president to power. You were one of the people who came down heavily on the PDP and pointed fingers, accusing fingers as to how they had run the country down the drain. But here we are in 2021. You're waxing lyrical about the same government that you helped bring to power. And you are seemingly speaking against the president. You even started out by saying that the president is deaf and dumb, which I found very, insulting to the personality of the president. But the average person who's watching you would say, what's the difference between you and the people who work with the president today and the people you are accusing of not listening to the hues and the cries of Nigerians? What makes you better than them?
Let me tell you clearly why I'm better than them. But for the facts, I was one of those that made General Buhari president in 2015. I have come out to apologize for God to forgive me for being part of a satanic collabo that bring a senseless and a wicked government like General Buhari's government. I made a public apology to the entire Nigeria and the whole world, very clear. So that makes me unique because I knew the man we sell to Nigerians does not have the capacity, does not have the experience, that he has failed. So being a young man, to show that difference, in 2017, I took a bow and left the party. I resigned and I said, I don't want to be this kind of a party. I don't want to be a leader in this kind of a party. That this party has failed the campaign promises. And when I saw it clearly that this party was going to present General Buhari in the next election, like minds like me, not just myself, a lot of us took a bow and said, well, we can't be fooled for twice. We cannot be fooled for a second time. So there is difference between me and those working for General Buhari. I could have as well sat down as spokesperson of the party, enjoy all the things that is attached, when you are in ruling party, the respect and enjoyment and looting. But I decided no, that I can't be part of this satanic arrangement. I took a bow and leave. So there's no way you can compare me and those ones. I can tell you, I communicate with some people inside the presidential villa. I communicate with people inside the APC. The bitter and anger, just as some of them are cowards, they are not like Timmy Frank. I took the bold step to say, well, I can't continue with this marriage. And that was why I left. And from the beginning of this government, I was the only person within the party who had the capacity and guts to challenge the party as at that time. I did that because I know too much. I'm one of the founding fathers of this party called APC. So if things were not working, I have every right to say, I don't want to be like coward, like some persons who are still sitting down there and be complaining in the bedroom. I felt if this is wrong, it is my duty and right to say I'm stepping down. And I took a bow and left. So I have no regret in all of this.
Okay.
So, my sister, there is difference.
Let's talk about the most recent thing. Yesterday I had someone from a former staffer at the U.S. Congress. I spoke with a security consultant, a human rights lawyer. Of course, you know the story of the United States Congress and the Senate putting a stop to the sales of helicopters and some security ammunition that we need to fight, the insecurity that we're facing, especially that's in the Northeast and in the North Central. And they gave reasons, and one of the biggest reasons was human rights abuses. We're still discussing this issue, and I want to bring it to you because, of course, this is still the issue that people are still talking about, even though the presidency has come out to say, to play it down, that it's not such an issue and that they're sure that the sale will continue. But the U.S. government is talking about the clamp down on the Twitter ban. The U.S. is talking about the fact that the army had a hand in the NSAS protest and the killings and the shooting on that fateful day. And they've made mention of the fact that they think, according to them, that the government of Buhari is heading towards an autocratic system of sorts. But again, we are dealing with a high level of insecurity, and we need our army, our security, apparatuses need these weapons to deal with the ongoing war. What the U.S. is doing, is it really timely? I mean, of course they want to deal with an issue, but what about the people that are dying in their numbers? And if we do not have if we're not able to arm our soldiers to fight, because the people that we're fighting against have more automatic weapons, unfortunately.
Let me tell you, the United States government is 100% right in whatever they are doing. This is the same government that supported General Buhari in 2015 for him to be president. If you remember clearly, it is same. Then Joe Biden was the vice president to Barack Obama. And it was Obama's government that brought General Buhari to power. So if today, this same government that brought General Buhari to power in 2015, that supported
when you say that a U.S. government brought Buhari to power, it makes me feel like the U.S. government had a hand in the polls. They didn't have a hand in the polls. If they were in support of,
let me tell you.
When you say, you make a lot of allegations. This is a very hefty one.
My sister, listen. Go and check what did Jonathan says after he left power. Have you not read what Jonathan says? That Obama removed me from office. Are you not a Nigerian to see Jonathan's statement as at that time? America does not need to come and vote. America just felt what they did as at that time.
Is the former president of the U.S. a Nigerian voter? How would he have removed? He's not even Nigerian. How could he remove former President Goodluck Jonathan from power?
That was not my statement. I'm quoting, and I said to you, you can Google it and check Jonathan's statement on the United States government. He made it very clear on a live video, on a live interview in BBC. Go and check. He said Obama's government removed me from power. So this is not Timmy Frank. So I'm just trying to let you know, these people that, whether you like it or not, America for any election, they try to make sure they intervene to see that a better candidate emerge, and the process must be free and fair, especially in Africa. democratic system where you see incumbent presidents will, acquire powers to themselves and rig elections. So Jonathan felt as at that time he didn't have any support because it was very clear, and some of us did the work. Then I was in a position, we did everything we did. So I can tell you whenever I speak with experience. That is why I can call names, because I know I have my facts. So they are very right. If today the United States government gives them ammunition, that ammunition will be used to kill Nigerians, not the terrorists. The one they have now, how many terrorists have they killed? They've killed more civilians. They've killed more civilians in Nigeria than they've killed terrorists. Our military people. So you're
saying they should continue holding on to this to the sale at the expense of the people who are dying. Could there not be?
Because they know it's corruption. Let me tell you, because they're not even trying to buy these weapons. Nigerian government is going to inflate price. They are going to. America is not stupid. America wants the crisis. American government wants the insecurity to be resolved in Nigeria. American government wants this crisis to.
And is this the best way for America to go about it? Is this the best way? People have called for other ways, other measures.
Listen, let me tell you. America will not sell their arms to anybody that will use that arm to kill its own citizens. America will never, because they know very well. They have their reports. They have their details. They know, even right now, you can see how they kill the Shiite people in Nigeria. Who killed the Shiite people? Is it not military men? I bet this one you will say is lie again or something, or it's an allegation. Who killed NSAS protesters in Lekki? Who massacred protesters in Lekki? What weapon did they use? Was it not military men that killed people in Lekki? So what are we talking? So why do you want American government to release their weapons to a government that will come and kill peaceful protesters again? They will never do that. So they will wait for any government that they think that will follow a proper democratic process, that will respect freedom of speech, that will respect rule of law. So they've seen that this government, first of all, doesn't respect rule of law. This government does not respect human rights. This government does not obey court orders. So far as I'm concerned, I'm in the same, and let me tell you, as I'm talking to you right now, I've been in the United States. Some of us who've come to liaise with the people and the authority to seek for support. We are here to seek for political intervention. We are here to appeal to the United States government to help us to stop and end this current menace of this General Buhari and his party, the APC. Because what we are seeing right now, if you allow these people, they don't want to hand over power. They are planning third term. I can tell you clearly again.
Oh my goodness.
The APC
you and your allegations.
For General Buhari.
Our constitution does not allow for third term. We saw someone attempted. We saw the Obasanjo administration try to attempt it. It did not work. It cannot work.
We are scared, and that is why we are working. Because if you allow the current rubber stamp National Assembly that are the loyal boys to General Buhari, if they have their way, these are the loyal boys will amend the constitution for General Buhari to run for third term.
Well, I want to say thank you, Timmy Frank, for being part of the conversation. We appreciate you, but our time is up.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we'll take a short break, and when we return, we will be discussing what's happening in the APC, and of course, as they prepare for their congresses, what should we be looking out for? Stay with us.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on PlusTvAfrica as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them.
If you no talk, they go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
Indications have emerged that there are underground moves by some within the ruling APC to prevail on the national leader, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to cede his yet-to-be-declared presidential ambition and step down to a younger candidate come 2023. A former member of the National Working Committee who did not want his name mentioned warned that the party would have to navigate the Tinubu bend tactically due to his role, or the role of the former governor of Lagos State that he played in the merger of the APC and the election of President Buhari in 2015 and 2019, respectively. It was also gathered that the President, Muhammadu Buhari, was being very careful not to take any action that would amount to embarrassment to Tinubu, as there is also a strong indication that the presidency has set up a team with credible personalities to look out for an acceptable successor of Muhammadu Buhari on the platform of the ruling party. Well, joining us to discuss this is Muiz Banire. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
My pleasure. Good evening.
Interesting. Let's start by looking at this statement. You heard me and the introduction. There seems to be a lot of conversation around, the former Lagos State governor. In fact, last week, if not early this week, we heard about the fact that the Ekiti APC members were divided as to the consensus candidate, because some of them seem to be on the camp of the former Lagos State governor. And we see that he's the party leader, that's what he's called. But why the whole arguments and agitations as to whether he would, he hasn't even declared that he wants to run for president.
So that is my position. As far as I'm concerned, he has not declared that he's running for presidency. And to that extent, it would be speculative for anybody to start thinking on his behalf. So for me, the coast is still very clear for all aspirants. And I wonder when people start talking now about the consensus among the aspirants, when even the party structure is yet to be established. So it's still a milestone away, a mile away. Sorry.
Now, we also know that the APC has, I spoke to an APC party man, I think the deputy speaker, the national state publicity secretary of the APC, I think from one of the states in the south, and he did say that they all have agreed to a consensus candidate. And I remember the Speaker of the House of Representatives talking about the fact that they might have to put it in the constitution for all parties to adopt the direct primaries, system. But then, of course, political parties all have their constitutions, and they can decide whatever form of, primaries they want to, do. But the APC is mostly known for their consensus style of picking candidates. Do you think that that will work well this time around, knowing that 2023 is going to be a very highly contested election, especially within parties, before anyone emerges?
But let me first correct the impression that the party is just trying to include in its provision direct primaries. That is not correct. As I'm talking from the inception of the party, there has always been that provision which allows both the direct and indirect primaries and consensus. So there are three ways, basically, through which somebody can actually emerge as a candidate of the party in APC. It's either direct primary is done, or alternatively, you are.
Well, I'm just going to say what I said again. It's not the party. The speaker was speaking, and he was speaking generally about it being included in the constitution of the country, not necessarily that of the APC. And the PDP seem to have been kicking against it because they're saying that every party has a right to decide the different modes of in which they would conduct their primaries, and that the constitution should not be prescribing that to them. That's what I meant.
Well, even at that, the Electoral Act, which is an act of the National Assembly, already provides for it. It's there. There are three ways, even within the.
We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we're having some interference. We will continue with the senior advocates of Nigeria. We're still talking about the internal politics in the APC. Stay with us. Well, we're back, and we're still talking about the internal politics of the APC as we look to 2023. And we're being joined by senior advocate of Nigeria, SAN, Moise Banire. Sorry, before we went on that break, we were talking about, the internal politics in the APC. And like I said, my question was, what I was speaking to was the speaker was talking about in putting this into the nation's constitution, rather into the Electoral Act bill, so that all the parties concerned would now align. But the PDP kicked against it, saying that they have a right to either decide whether they want to have a consensus candidate or they want to have direct or indirect primaries. But the APC guest I had that day said, well, I mean, if that's what the House is proposing, that they will go by it. But really, can that really work within parties? Especially now, like I said, it's it's going to be a very competitive election come 2023. Even within the parties, the congresses might be very heated as to who would emerge. So should we be talking about direct, indirect, or consensus candidates, and how will that play out?
Well, like I said to you, what the speaker said is no news at all. It's already in the Electoral Act. The Electoral Act was enacted then in furtherance of the constitutional provision that enabled the National Assembly to do so. So more or less, you can say it's part and parcel of the Constitution already, that a party is at liberty to choose any of the three modes. But I can tell you for free from my experience, and when I was in APC, that likely consensus never worked. In fact, what people term consensus was more of a position at all levels within the APC itself. And it can never work, and it's not even working now. You can, of course, right now as we are talking, APC is supposed to start its congresses tomorrow. I can tell you without fear of contradiction, they have no register to do any congress. So they are saying they want to do consensus. But what consensus is supposed to do is that all parties must agree, must consent to the arrangement.
I'm sorry, I need to take you back. Did you say that the APC does not have a register?
As I'm talking to
the APC has been conducting, as we all know, it's been in the news, that they have been re-registering members. Where are they registering them? Where's the register?
No, registering is different from registrar. You think you can register and go away. Have you compiled it? Is it credible? Do people even have access to it? Who vouch for the integrity of it? Before you can have a transparent process, there must be a credible register endorsed by all the stakeholders. I can tell you without fear of contradiction that there is nothing like that on ground as I'm talking to you. It's even so bad that they do not even have congresses at the local government or world level that will conduct anything tomorrow. Most of the people that they even appointed or nominated as state congress committee team, most of them just arrived a day before today. And just take Lagos State, they had a stakeholder meeting to that. I'm talking to you, people have not even gotten form to fill. Nomination form, not let even screening, not let even knowing those who will conduct the respective elections in their various wards. The whole thing is just a sham. It's a complete deception.
So I'm curious now because I want to know how the APC is planning to deepen its grassroots mobilization. I mean, we obviously see that the party hasn't been doing well in this regard. So now that we have the congresses tomorrow, and now you're saying that everything is a sham, the party has come out to say that they're certain they want to go ahead with these congresses. Now, if the congresses, according to you, is a sham, what do we make of the candidates that emerge at the end of the day? And let's not forget about the Buni issue that is also a front burner.
Well, I'm of a very, very strong opinion that if the party had been wise, they ought to halt the process immediately because they are in a cloudy situation now. The situation that they are now calls for is a total overhaul of their processes and structure before they can even progress further. The more they progress, the more they endanger themselves, which will be catastrophic at the end of the day. So for me, I believe, I've seen a lot of comment, opinions of people all across the board in respect of the Supreme Court judgment a few days ago. And the question I kept on asking is that even from the Attorney General, is that where is the judgment they are analyzing? I can tell you that today the judgment, the full judgment has not been out. Maybe by Monday we'll be able to get copies and read it. And you cannot, particularly as a lawyer, start commenting or speculating on something you have not read. So for me, I would have thought that, like I said, a professional manager or a reasonable manager of a process of this nature will certainly call it, I put it now, will temporarily halt the process for them to have a clearer picture of what is going on around them before they can progress. Because at the end of the day, if ultimately what we have had that the Supreme Court said is correct, then they are just wasting resources and time on all these congresses that are undertaking. And that may eventually even endanger all their subsequent candidates, if not the previous candidates that are still within the net. So I mean,
this leaves me with because I wanted to ask, I mean, what direction they would have gone with picking, the candidates. But at this point, like you said, it's clouded everything. And one would wonder why they're still, bent on going ahead with this Congress. But going forward, I mean, the APC has been making very bold statements about, taking over for the next, 8 years. They have also vowed to probably make the PDP some form of a regional party. But really, with all of the things that we're seeing, can that really happen? If the APC is not able to put its house in order, and we also know the PDP is also facing its own peculiar problems with their governors cross-capiting and most of their members moving to the APC. Do we also see some form of a disintegration if the house is not put in order and the right choices are not made anytime soon?
In fact, from my reading, certainly there will be implosion within the APC. Undoubtedly, there will be implosion as time progresses. They can't run away from it. It's a reality that will come to face them at the end of the day. So no doubt about that, no doubt.
And going forward, if you were asked to give your 2 pence on what the APC should do going forward, what would that be? And taking the president out of the picture, because yes, we know that he's the president and he also, represents the party, but taking the president out of the mix, what should the party be doing going forward?
What they ought to be doing, my expectation is that by now, stemming from that decision of the Supreme Court, is to await the full judgment, get a copy of it, assemble legal consultants together to analyze, look at it, and then be able to fashion out the roadmap for them. So, and call thereafter, they need to call their NEC. The NEC has to take a position on it. And that is the way to go. And that certainly and imminently call for the offering of this progress that are going on.
All right.
If you want to be reckless, you see, at times there's something, this impunity and arrogance, there's a way it destroys entities, bodies, or individuals. And the kind of arrogance or impunity that they are they are exhibiting now, I can tell you for free, we ultimately on them. Because it's just a matter of somebody has said, everybody around the country today knows that the situation is a bit dicey. A normal person who is not reckless, a manager of human and material resources should know that in the situation of this nature, you need to stop, take stock before you progress further.
Well, it doesn't, from what you're saying, might not be looking good for the APC except they take a U-turn. Muiz Banire is a senior advocate of Nigeria. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the conversation.
My pleasure.
All right. Well, that's it on Plus Politics tonight. We'll see you on Monday. I am Mariana Cohn. Have a good evening.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on PlusTvAfrica.
There has to be a decision point. The way your baby's presenting, we have to rush you in. And my partner at the time was like, "You going to cut her? Are you going to cut her? Is it going to leave a scar?" And I said, "What? Am I a belly dancer? What is the problem here?"
No, I'm vulnerable about the future of the children, the future of mine and the future of the generation of my children.
I want to have new